Alright, Blizzard, what the fuck are you guys thinking? So, if you haven't heard already, Blizzard is pulling its Tracer pose for the game Overwatch. It's the pose over the shoulder they're pulling because it's too sexy. Change it. So the original forum post seen here started this whole thing. The user starts with complimenting the devs on what a great game Overwatch is, and then he gets into some criticism. Primarily, his criticism is that this pose doesn't fit Tracer's character, because Tracer is a silly character. She's fun, spunky, and just silly. And his problem is that, well, the over-the-shoulder pose shows too much ass. And just so you know what we're talking about, here it is. As you can clearly see, well, her butt is in the pose. It's in the pose. If it weren't her butt, it would be her front. So, pick one. I don't know. Humans have butts. But I think the problem he really has with it is the fact that it kind of has this leaning on the hip stance to the pose, and the fact that Tracer is wearing a wetsuit, and it probably emphasizes her butt a little bit more than cargo pants obviously would. But you see this picture of all the other stances? Well, Tracer's pretty thin. She has a really insane hip to waist ratio. It's not realistic. It's definitely not even close to realistic. And these wetsuit pants, well, they're really tight, and they kind of show all the curves, if you know what I mean. So, to be honest, how can you not make her butt stick out when her rear is facing the camera? I mean, it just doesn't really make any sense why people have a big problem with this pose in particular that I'm not following, I guess. If you really hate the pose, well, don't use it. It's kind of simple as that, right? Well, you'd be wrong. So, in addition to his criticisms that the pose doesn't fit the character quite right, well, he claims that he has a young daughter and pulls the heartstrings that she's growing up in a misogynist world. Well, that's kind of too bad because this game is rated PG-13. I mean, if she's younger than that, she probably technically shouldn't be playing the game, and if she's older than that, I don't think that a butt would affect her brain too much. I really just don't get it. So when anybody makes a post like this, well, people are naturally going to criticize that post. Is this thread a joke? I hope this thread is a joke. It's a video game. Game is not made exclusively for your young daughter. I like the pose, and so do many others, and just because your weirdly rigid views on sexuality prevent you from appreciating it, doesn't mean you should take it out of the game to accommodate you. Fine, but if there's enough people that feel like this person that play the game, then it's a valid criticism, technically. I mean, you have to appease your consumers, and the problem is it doesn't really seem like it's a valid case, because there's a lot of people that disagreed with what this guy had to say. I, in particular, really like this post. Essentially, if you don't want your young daughter to see butts, well, she probably stay away from TV, the internet, and the whole entire world, because everyone dresses like that. I mean, what are short shorts? Another one is, she's not weak because she has a toned ass. I see nothing with this wrong with this pose, you know? Like, just simple stuff like this. People really look into this crap too much. She's in a jumpsuit. Her butt's gonna be shown off in a jumpsuit. You didn't complain before that she was in a jumpsuit, and now you are. Like, it's like the fucking crack of a woman is the fucking devil in a video game, at least. In a movie, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine to have any of this in a movie, in a Calvin Klein ad, or wherever. But in a video game, shame on you. I also really like this one. There's nothing wrong with sexualized characters, just the young innocent ones, okay? Do you have that strong need to see an animated butt cheeks? I don't think anyone does. And if they do, okay then, go watch some porn or something. I mean, you're not really gonna find it in a video game. Hopefully not. I mean, there's something about watching a polygon that doesn't really get me aroused. And I think I'm not alone on that one. So, yeah. And then I like the response to that one. Tracer is a 26-year-old and kills people for a living, meaning she's not a minor. She's perfectly legal age to fuck anything she wants if she were a human being. And, yeah, kills people. So, you're getting mad at her for showing off her butt, yet she kills people. technically she does commit murder in one sense. Like, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. But, where the shit really hits the fan is once the game dev comes in on the forum post and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, oh, we offended somebody on the internet with our game. We'll fix that right away." Okay then, thank you very much. You just succumbed to stupid criticism. Like, people were ripping this apart, and then you just come in and say, "We can't bully anyone, we can't offend anyone. Oh my god, we gotta change it." And this is where I kind of get a little bit pissed off, because where the fuck is your balls? I mean, if it really wasn't that good, then I guess you were just rushing product out the door, technically, if you actually thought that this wasn't good, because that's what they say in the post. With our creative vision for this was not to be like the pose we produced. Well, then why did you produce it? What the hell? I don't get it. So why did you produce that pose when you had another pose that you preferred? I mean, it's completely illogical to think like that, and that's why I think they're lying. Now, I know this is supposed to be exclusively about Tracer, but if you look at some of the other characters' poses, well, their ass really shows off a lot more than Tracer's, I think. I mean, if you're talking about that whole crack thing, the butt cracks, and look at these poses. Same pose. The butt cracks there. It's really emphasized. So why aren't people flipping out about that? But Tracer, oh, it's because Tracer is fun and silly, and she's not a sex object from the patriarchy. Feminist bullshit. Seriously though, I think people really love this character, and some people disagree, and some people are just here to argue their sex object agenda and fight the patriarchy and stuff. And others are actually validly concerned about the butt, I guess. But those individuals seem quite small, and compared to the other individuals that actually like the pose. And I mean, it technically is a pose. You can choose it. It's not a huge thing. I mean, I don't know. If you don't like it, you can technically change it. You can not choose that pose in the game. You have that freedom. And yeah, this just kind of pisses me off, because there's so many times where, let's bitch about a fucking video game where TV is just loaded with titties everywhere and fucking shit like that, and ooh, that's, wow, full sex scenes in the House of Cards, pretty much. Like, I mean, they basically have the orgasms, and I think it's distasteful. I think it really isn't necessary, but whatever. That's their choice to do that, I guess. Honestly, I would argue that it isn't worth it. Like, it doesn't really add to the story or anything like that, or creative art design. I don't know how. Anyway, so how TV, put all the boobies you want in it, put all the sex you want in it, put all the jokes you want in that one in TV, but shame on you for having a girl with a toned ass in a jumpsuit. Honestly, I think people just think Tracer is cool. That's what I think. That's the majority of your fan base. They think the character is cool, and most people just disagree. If the game devs really didn't like that pose, well, they probably wouldn't have went with it. I mean, they had a clear creative design for the game, so why did they say that they screwed up on that one after somebody pointed out that they screwed it up? Doesn't make any sense. They would have changed it either on their own will, like, before this forum post came out, or not have had to change it all because they chose the one they wanted. So, doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Honestly, what it feels like is Blizzard is a bunch of pussies like, "Oh, no. We didn't offend anyone. No. Okay, we'll change it right away. Okay, yeah." Anyways, thanks for watching. This is getting absurd.